All right,
All right.
3, 2, 1.
Yes. 3, 2, 1.
All right, we are here at the Life on Life's Terms podcast. I'm Tom Robinson, and like I always say, we are not affiliated with any 12-step programs. However, we endorse them and love them.
Yes, and I am Chris Mandeville. I am a heroin addict in recovery.
I always forget that
Tom
part.
forgets that.
I'm also a heroin addict in recovery.
We are here at a New Way Recovery Center in Quincy, Mass, on Quincy Ave, who is ever so gracious to let us use this space. And you can find us at LOLTerms.com. And
please subscribe.
Yes, like, subscribe. We are on Apple Podcast.
Yep.
We are on Google Play. We are on YouTube.
We just heard a story that someone's listening in Tampa. Shout out to Tampa, Florida.
Last week we were shared out in the UK, which is pretty cool.
It's very, very cool, yep.
So tonight we have Dave, who, it's kind of weird. I was up at the Bill Wilson House in Dorset, Vermont, East Dorset, Vermont, with a bunch of guys from my group, and just started talking to this kid out in the yard, and he was from Weymouth.
Yeah, I was living in Weymouth.
Yeah, living in Weymouth at the time, and it was just weird. And then we bumped into each other back down here on the South Shore, and he ended up going to the treatment center that Tom and myself went to.
Yeah, I consider Dave a good friend of mine. We haven't seen each other in a while, but
yeah,
I love me some Dave.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, good friendships, like, you know, like, oh wow, how come you haven't called me? You know,
yeah.
You know, it's like, hey, what's going on? How you been?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Well,
like, you never left off.
Yeah, you don't skip a beat.
Yeah.
So Dave's going to share his experience, strength, and hope with us, and we're going to listen to it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I'm Dave. I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict.
What's up,
nice.
Dave?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's, you know, kind of different, obviously. I've never done anything like this before, but
yeah,
I've done worse things, that's for sure.
Yes. We all have.
We appreciate you coming, Dave.
Yeah.
We really do.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was thinking about what I would say, and I don't know. You know, I've had quite a road in recovery and not in recovery, and you know, I finally found myself, like, extremely grateful that I am a drug addict and an alcoholic. Like, I always heard people say that, and I used to hate that. You know, like, I'm just a grateful recovering drug addict. I'm so, like, it's the best thing, and I could never wrap my head around that. But, like, my life is so good today, and it's only because I've accepted the fact that, you know, I'm a drug addict, and I found, like, a spiritual way of life, that I was able to have this life that I have. Like, I don't think I would even be alive, probably, you know.
Yeah, I know I wouldn't.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I hear that.
So it kind of led me to a relationship with my higher power that I didn't want, and I definitely wouldn't have found it if I didn't absolutely need it, you know. Just like a lot of people, I started off smoking weed and drinking. You know, I took my first drink when I was I don't know, probably about 13 or 14 years old.
That's the magic.
Yes.
Yeah, 13.
The magic number.
Yeah.
13.
It was the 3rd of July.
Oh, really?
In Manomet, yeah.
You remember the date?
Yeah.
I'm not a really good
I mean, I don't know if I had drank
person.
before that, but this was the first time that I got, you know.
Yeah, that you remember it.
I had the effect.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I realized, that usually I know where the date is when you know, when there's an upcoming UFC fight. I'm like, yeah, I know that the 2nd is Saturday, so today is what, you know.
Yeah.
How much for a cab ride home?
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I took a drink and it was like magical, you know. Well, that night it was anyway, and I got wasted, and it was warm Heffenreffer.
Oh, really?
Head wreckers.
That's good stuff, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
With the little puzzle on the cap.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, by the end of the night, you're like, what the?
Yeah. Snapple copied that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
so, yeah.
Maybe it was the
Probably
same
right.
company.
I never really thought of that.
Yeah.
Snapple and then Nantucket Nectars as well.
They probably got sober and
Yeah. Yep. The marketing guy got sober and
Yeah.
started working for Snapple. So 13, 3rd of July,
yeah.
which is usually when a lot of kids get in trouble.
Yeah, I grew up in Manamet, and it was like
Oh, that's right. I forgot that about you.
Yeah.
Manamet on the 3rd of the July was
A lot of-
deadly.
yeah.
Yeah.
We used to sleep in the car because they'd set up a roadblock.
Yeah.
You'd sleep in the car, and you'd wake up in the morning and go home.
Yeah. Either that or catch yourself a Dewey.
Yeah.
I woke up on my neighbor's porch covered in puke, and that was my first
Nice.
real.
Couldn't wait to do it again.
Yeah.
Couldn't wait.
It definitely wasn't because I liked the taste of Heffernan, and
Yeah.
I didn't like that I got into some trouble, and I didn't
Right.
like that, but I liked what it did for me,
Yeah. A friend of mine said it was like his tailor. It made his skin fit perfectly.
Yeah.
You know, felt comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know I was suffering from all the things it relieved me of. I had no idea, but I
Right.
knew it. I knew I felt relief.
Yep.
Did you? What was your thought process before you started drinking, as compared with, as far as it goes with drinking? What were you? How did you think of it before you started? That's what I
It
think
was
about
more
sometimes.
of like a group thing. Like I don't want to say like peer pressure, but it was definitely like that's what all the kids were doing, and I just wanted to fit in. That was
Right.
what got me going. I mean, I was depressed, kind of. Is that what you mean? Like, was my state of mind? Or
No, I what I mean is like when I remember back when it was someone else's idea. They found it. They broke into somebody's shed. We were 13, and but before that, my idea of it was that this is something that I looked up to. The people who drank were like cool. I said when I was like, oh, get a chance to do this. This is great.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Did you say it was your grandfather or something?
Yeah, my grandfather, he's an alcoholic, but he was a happy drunk, and he was in the Navy, you know what I mean? There's pictures of him, with his friends and stuff, you know what I mean? And I looked up to that. I was like, wow,
Yeah, right.
this is it was like I wanted it.
yeah.
It wasn't like it wasn't like Chris says where it fits your skin, it made you comfortable, but it was something I aspired to.
Yeah.
It was like, yes, I get to do this.
Yeah.
All excited about it. That's the way I was.
Like a rite of passage almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely looked up to the kids in the neighborhood, I guess, and I was uncomfortable. I was always looking for approval, and I was an only child. That we moved down there from Brockton, and it definitely helped me fit in, and it definitely made me. It took away those insecurities, I guess. I just didn't give a shit at that point. Once I got drunk, and then I wanted to keep doing it.
Right.
I was able to keep it at that for quite a few years, like just function during the week and not like go crazy, and then the weekends, kind of go nuts with the guys or whatever.
Yeah, right.
I stayed like that for years. I started smoking weed. I started playing in a band. I play the drums, and
I forgot. You're reminding me about all this stuff about you.
yeah.
Yeah, I forgot you played the drums.
Yeah. So that it was that scene for quite a while, and I went to college. I went out to Arizona to go to school for electronic engineering, and then the course was just too hard. And when I got away from home, I really started to like drink heavy. I didn't have any real sense of responsibility, and I just.
So what you're saying is the course was too hard to do while you were hungover.
that definitely was the case. That was definitely the case. And I had no, left to my own devices. I just was like, I drank a lot more out there and did a lot more drugs, and I started experimenting with cocaine
Yeah.
Smoked a lot of weed, and you know, I didn't. Needless to say, I didn't become an electronic engineer. I changed my major. I went to school for forestry.
From electronics to trees.
Yeah,
forestry sounds easy.
Yeah, that sounds good. So I went up to
I can learn how to grow me some good weed.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to be a forest ranger and smoke weed.
Yeah, just hide all the weed in the forest.
It seemed like
not let anybody near there.
Yeah, it seemed like a solid plan.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But that didn't work out either. I went to Flagstaff, and I went to school there for about 2 semesters. I found a band that's drummer flunked out, and they had a band and gigs and a drum set, and the drummer flunked out and got sent home, so I just jumped right in.
Flunked out?
Slid right in the seat.
So, yeah. And then I flunked out. So.
What does that mean? Rim shots? So you couldn't play the drums well?
No. Flunked out of school.
Oh, out of school?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
A little slow.
That's all right. Yeah, so that's what I did. We were traveling around playing Led Zeppelin songs,
Oh, you were in the wedding band.
Not quite that successful.
Oh, okay.
But that didn't work out, and I came home, and actually, the school called my house wondering where I was, because I hadn't been there in quite some time, and my grandfather called me, and he's like, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm at school." And he said, "No, you're not." He's like, "You haven't been to school in like a month." And I was in San Diego. I was supposed to be in Arizona. So, long story short, I ended up.
He tracked you down.
Well, he's like, why don't you get home and stop wasting everybody's money?
Were you making trips to Tijuana by then?
No,
not yet. Not yet.
No, not quite. No. But I came. My grandfather was the voice of reason. He said, "Get your ass home and go to work. You're not going to go to school." That's what I did. So.
Just pissing money away, and if you're not going to go there, like,
right,
at least do something.
Yeah. He was against me going to school anyway. He wanted me to get a trade. The good thing is I went to trade school, and that was his advice too. He, just in case the college thing doesn't work out, why don't you go to trade, high school, and I did electrical in high school, and and he was a pretty smart guy, so that's what I did. I came home and I went to work for an electrical company, and I still was like a real heavy hitter, I guess. I was definitely alcoholic at times. Like, I would black out, and looking back on it, it wasn't normal. I thought it was normal.
You remember those tests that we would take, like, not tests, but like questionnaires or whatever? You'd go to detox, and they'd make you fill out something like, have you ever blacked out? It's like, dude, I'm in detox.
Yeah.
How did I get here?
I can't remember.
What do you mean, blackout?
Blackout.
I think that's how I ended up here.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, looking back, it's easy to see, but in it, I was blinded, But I managed to get my electrician's license and, have some outside success, I guess. But I was definitely blossoming as an addict and an alcoholic. I ended up buying my parents' house off them and getting in a real serious relationship. And around that time, I got, into the oxys, and then it was just like a ski jump there for sure. It was like, I just, a friend of mine's father was dying of cancer, and he had like unlimited OxyContin, and we just started taking them, and then we found a doctor that would prescribe them to us when we ran out, and we did that for a while.
And it's crazy. Like, I was so into heroin, like I didn't even know anything about these doctors. You know what I mean?
No, me either.
Like,
I didn't care about doctors.
I'm running around, trying to friggin' make $80 so I can buy a bundle, and all I needed was like $3.65, and I could get prescriptions for endless.
That's a good. Well, my idea was, look, if I got to Brockton and I didn't score heroin within 15 minutes, I was like, what the hell is a slow day? I don't want to go to a doctor's office and wait in a waiting room, right?
Yeah.
Puke in a waiting room.
It was a hassle, man. I'll
shit my pants in a waiting room. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
I didn't find out about heroin. I mean, I didn't try heroin till years later. I was definitely scared of it, and it really wasn't until after I went to Project Turnabout that I tried it, after living with a bunch of heroin addicts.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like you go to treatment and you realize that, damn, this shit I ain't done yet.
Yeah,
I got a good education.
There was one kid that was in the treatment center with me, is Johnny C, and like this kid was cracking booze,
Yeah.
and like he did heroin in the house and he overdosed.
Really?
And I've heard him share after that, and he's like, yeah, I tried heroin once. I still don't know what it's like. It's like I remember running upstairs and finding that kid blue.
Wow.
Who was that dude, Dave, who died? Was it? I always tell this story. Dude was an alcoholic, straight up alcoholic, who was in the house, and he went out, and he must have done heroin. They figure he was probably in a blackout, and he died.
They found
tried
him
heroin for the
park.
first time. Yeah, in the Commons.
Yeah. I forget his name. Yeah.
It's crazy.
So many people.
Brutal.
If I tried to write down all the people that I've met that have passed on, I'd be writing forever.
Dude, who's that guy? I hate to say it. I don't know. Who's that guy who was always playing Go Go Godzilla?
Oh, Joe T.
He's in the weight room all the time, and then I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna continue with that. Somebody saw him in the Commons selling himself or something.
Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah. We had some funny stories.
180 degrees.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So you end up going through Turnabout, and that's
I actually went into Turnabout. I went to Turnabout a couple times. The first time was in Hingham when it was Turnabout,
when it was the real deal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And at that time I was hooked on oxys. That's what brought me in there. And I had just gotten married. I was just about to lose everything. It was like I'd just gotten married like that year, and my wife was the one who really had a problem with my problem.
Yeah.
Really? You think? I wonder why she would have a problem with your problem.
I didn't have a problem with my problem, but she became my problem. And
it's hard. That's getting sober for someone else.
Yeah,
it's a lot harder. I don't know if it can be done.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say. A lot of people say you can't do it, but I don't know that. But I know that I had to be. I mean, I think an impetus was my son being born.
Yeah.
When he was being born, there was that song, "The Reason."
Yeah.
You know, and that hit me.
Incubus.
I think you're right. And I remember sitting there in the back seat, and that song was playing. Somebody was driving, and I was just like getting emotional. Like I gotta stop this, and I don't know how, and all that stuff. So I think my son was an impetus, but I mean, I think it's. You have to realize, you have to like own it. Like I'm in trouble.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that's,
to make it.
It's the only thing. It's the only times that it ever worked for me when I was totally like hopeless. It's. I can only think of a couple times, and those times are the times that I turned around and got sober and meant it. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to be honest about that then. When the first time I went to Turnabout, I would have told you that 100% that it was for me, but looking back on it, I wouldn't have even gone that way if it wasn't for the people in my life, my mother and my wife, like saying, hey, you got to do something here. I would have kept going, definitely, for quite a while longer. And then but I gave it an honest effort, and I stayed sober for a little while, and then I went out, and it got worse. I ended up trying heroin, and
I never knew that. Okay.
Yeah. I was dope sick, and at that point, I couldn't get together the means to do the pills or whatever, and someone said, hey, do this, and I was like, oh, I heard about that.
It's like 20 times cheaper.
It's
more readily available.
It's basic economics most of the time.
Inconvenient.
You spent how much in 3 weeks?
Right.
Here, this is like $10.
Yeah, and being dope sick doesn't hurt either. That's definitely a good motivator.
Oh yeah. Definitely, yeah.
On my last run,
Change your belief system.
I was so adverse to being dope sick. I was like, I am not going to be sick.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's looking back, you know, when I was sitting in Bridgewater for the 30-day dry out behind the fences, I was like, that's scary.
Yeah.
That's a scary thing, because I really was. I was like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to be sick.
I was a professional at being dope sick. Yeah, I was. You know, I was like, I for years, it was just like I would get enough to get off E. You know what I mean? And very rarely. And like looking back on it, I'm grateful for that, because when it came time to kick, it wasn't as bad. You know.
But you were a habitual line stepper.
Oh yeah,
because you were like hot boxes and chases with the police and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I was just a guy who went to work and then bought what I could buy and then got sick for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the last run, I was ready to step some lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, all right, when I got arrested and I was locked up, it was like, that's scary, because the next time I do this, what's going to happen? What am I going to be involved in? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did whatever I needed to do to get what I needed to get.
Right.
I didn't care.
Line stepper.
Yeah.
That eventually,
33 adult arraignments will,
oh
you
my
know.
God. That's a lot.
And that's the arraignment. That's not counting the individual charges. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't find that out until I was like a few years in sobriety, and
Get more charges than an iPhone.
yeah, I was a few years into sobriety, and I was painting at the Boston Police Department, and some dude got hell bent because we had a key card, and like we worked for facilities, like and you know, it was kind of strange painting in the Boston Police headquarters, and like I'm a convicted felon, but whatever. And then this guy like really got butthurt and took my record and emailed it throughout the Boston Police Department.
Oh, that was nice.
I was like, oh, okay, cool. And you know, yeah, it was just,
We'll have Chris doing residential from now on.
yeah. Well, he took all our names and all our information because we had a key card, and then he ran one of the guys' name, and the dude had a like 25-year-old warrant, and he came up and arrested him on it.
Oh man.
Wow.
Like right out of like one of the offices he was painting.
Yeah.
We're like, what do you do? Really? This guy, but this guy would ticket a Boston police car in front of the Boston police headquarters. That's how much of a prick he was.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
His mom knew somebody. That's how homeboy got a job.
Oh,
I'll tell you
right.
that much.
He had a chip.
Yeah.
It's making
Yeah.
the world a better place. That's all.
Yeah. One ticket at a time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you tried heroin.
I tried heroin, yeah, and I liked it, and it went bad. It went very bad.
That's common sentiment.
Yeah.
Yeah, heroin addiction usually doesn't go good.
Doesn't
I
go
haven't-
well.
I haven't met anyone that it's gone good yet.
I definitely
tried very hard to
became
be a social
somebody-
heroin injector, but it
I
didn't really
became
work.
somebody that I didn't, that I definitely didn't ever think I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can get ugly fast, or it can take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But most of the time, it's
It's pretty ugly.
pretty quick.
At that point, it happened. From that point, it went very fast. And yeah, I just burnt everything to the ground again, and I was doing things that I just couldn't even believe I was doing. Stealing from friends and family, and just breaking people's hearts that love me, and I couldn't get in touch with any of that emotionally.
But you know what? You knew it, and you know what it does? It diminishes your self-respect.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no way around it. You know what I mean? You do things that you don't respect and you wouldn't have respected throughout your life, and all of a sudden you find yourself doing them. Diminishes your self-respect.
Yeah.
When you don't self-respect, you got to medicate, because that's feelings, and you don't want that.
Yeah, there's a snowball effect for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in the end, it brought me, to the point of surrender for real, which was good, Finally, I was, I was back in Project Turnabout again, and now it was in Hingham. It was in Weymouth, and that it was the third time I was back at Turnabout, and this time I finally hit a place of surrender that that we were talking about earlier. That it wasn't for anyone else. It was it was for real. It was, I'm done, and whatever it takes, I'll do it.
You became willing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't
Beaten
know.
into a state of reasonableness.
Yeah, without a doubt. And that's the only thing that works for guys like us,
Yep.
I won't do this. I won't do recovery if I'm not in that position.
Right. Right.
If I still think there's a sliver of a chance some way that I can pull it off, I'm gonna try.
Yep.
Well, I think I don't know. I have I've been thinking a lot about different stuff lately, and there was a really good podcast about addiction on Rogan just recently. This guy, he was talking about what happened in Portugal and what happened in Switzerland, and they legalized everything, decriminalized, whatever.
Yeah.
Safe. They have safe shooting
places. It's interesting because the piece that they're citing is this lack of like fulfillment, life fulfillment, which I think is it's so complicated, addiction. And I think that's a huge part of it. Like, you just not fulfilled, and you get addicted. Also, I think you get addicted to ego. You can get really addicted to your own ego. You know what I mean? You pump yourself up, and you feel like, if I let that go, it's going to be miserable. I'm not going to be fulfilled. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
but also, like, that's been, like, having a fulfilling life has been thrust upon us, like, falsely. You know what I mean? Like, what society deems as fulfilling. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you gotta have money, you gotta have cars, you gotta have a big house, you gotta have this
It's all
lovely
ego.
frou-frou life.
Yeah.
No,
you don't have to have any of that stuff.
We can be simple men with simple lives and be completely happy with that.
Right. Simple people.
It's easier to be happier when we have nothing. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can be, yeah.
Sure. Like, more money, more problems. You know what I mean? Like, trust and believe. I like stuff. I like shiny things. I like, nice things. But life's a lot more easy when
it gets complicated.
Yeah, it gets so complicated. And I've seen a lot of people, end up going back out because they get too much too quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, right. I could see what you're saying. That wasn't my story, but
no. I'm still waiting to get some stuff.
But I think I think there's more. That's one of the whole premises of the AA program is to help someone else, to help yourself. That's a fulfilling proposition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're being fulfilled because you have a purpose.
Yes.
It's one of the. You have a mission. You have something to concentrate on. You're not thinking all about ego and all about self.
That principle of altruism.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. If with the selfishness and self-centeredness of the disease, the counter has to be the opposite, right? So, like,
that's a good point.
Get out there and help somebody else. That's the real treatment, and I think that's why our founding fathers were, talk so much about it. Like,
George Washington and shit.
Yeah, and Abe Lincoln, Abe and Ebby Thatcher.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I never feel as free as when I'm helping somebody without any.
Right, without expecting anything. You know what I mean?
Those are some of the best days or moments, I should say, in my life.
I love being able to have an attitude of humility and being okay with it. You know what I mean? Whereas before, I needed something in my own mind that I would be stand out. I would be different. My ego would be okay because, they don't know me. I'm this and that, and I'm different. You know what I mean? I've done this, I've done that, whatever. But to be humble and to just realize that we're all human.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're all human.
Yep.
And we have some good qualities. We have bad qualities in other aspects where we might be really smart at this and really dumb at that. I might be good at, building something, but I'm terrible at spelling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to realize that you're just one of us. I'm just one of us. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's such a freeing thing, and especially if you add love into that, because you can stand there and just look at people and just be like, they're just like me.
Right.
Yeah.
And love them for being human. They're like me.
And that's like a lot of the people that I surround myself with, and people that I'm learning from today. Like, we're going like beyond the realm of the 12 steps and just like helping other people in life. You know what I mean? And it's because I don't know about anyone else, but for me, like just staying in the work and just going to meetings and just like it can lose its oomph and it can get you know. Yeah. I need more, and you know what I mean.
And varieties of spice of life,
and it doesn't have to. They don't have to be people in recovery,
right.
You know, like
but they can be too.
Yeah, I want to be able to help anywhere that I can help.
Yeah,
you know,
that's important, and it's funny that happened to me. Like I think I'm not saying that's why I relapsed after many years of sobriety, but I definitely was in that routine of same meetings, speaking at the same meetings, listening to the same people speak. Yeah, it definitely got routine, and I think what happened was I stopped growing and I stopped seeking.
Yeah,
and I was comfortable with an experience that I had 5 years ago.
Right,
instead of having a new experience.
And that experience that like they talk about that feeling fades.
Yeah, it does. You can't draw power from an old experience.
Yeah,
and that's what it is. And for a guy like me, I need power every day.
If we're not continuing to grow along spiritual lines and constantly seeking more spiritually, it's going to get old.
Lack of power was our dilemma.
Yeah, and if we're not seeking that power, we're not getting that power.
Right, and the book tells us too, if we're book guys, to go find it in other places at some point. I mean, it's just a book, and it's once you're introduced to that power, now take it and go out into the world. And I that was another layer that was peeled back the last time I got sober. I had a sponsor, thankfully, that was in the same mindset, and I went when I got sober the last time, a year and 4 months ago, whatever. I went through the process again with a big book guy, but we did it. He's let's just have a new experience, because I'd gone through the process before, and I think I had kind of I guess had these preconceived notions of what it should be like or whatever, and he was really good at just breaking that mold and saying, let's just have a new experience. And and then he got me into doing a really serious meditation and all kinds of different things. And I go to the Vedanta Center, and I do very little traditional AA now. Not to say that that's good or bad or whatever, but for me, that's where I'm finding the power,
I stay involved as much as I can with regular traditional 12-step stuff, but I've also gone outside the lines a little. You know what I mean? I one of the meetings I attend, it's like anyone's welcome. You don't have to be in recovery. You know what I mean?
I've been meaning to get down to that.
We have a woman who lost her son in a motorcycle accident, and she is comfortable to go there and talk and be with us and share, and you know what I mean? It doesn't matter if I can help you, I'm going to help you. I started going back to church, and it's not a regular church, stand up, kneel, pray, you know what I mean? And that's helped me a lot. If I have an opportunity to volunteer, I want to do that. You know what I mean? And all of this stuff, I'm using to help teach my daughter as well. This we don't have to just live a normal a regular life, go to school, go home, play, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? I want to show her that you're supposed to help other people as well.
There's more to life for sure. There's depth, and it's funny. I had a point when I was sober for a while, and I got all the material things, and I was doing really well with business, and and it was I just still I felt empty. It was I feel like I got all the things that I wanted, and I still all the things I always thought I wanted, I got them, and then I'm all right, well, now what?
Exactly. All the things that you thought were going to make you feel better. Well, if I get this, I'll be okay. If I get that, if I can get get a job here, if I can do this,
Right.
if I can acquire that, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
No.
No, I still.
You're
focus
already
on-
okay.
Yeah. Right. We already have everything we need. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you know, if we dig and uncover and unload some of that shit, we'll find it
Yeah.
within.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's tough to get there though. You know what I mean? So I know some people that never get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah, I was listening to Russell Brand, right? So he was asking his people who were on there with him about, like, what do you consider, like, the word recovery? What do you think? What do you mean by recovery? Right? What are you recovering? I think it's kind of like getting back to, who you were before you went. The world smashed you, and you decided that you needed to anesthetize yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that's actually the definition: being brought back to a former state. You know,
Right.
Yeah.
the definition of recovery. Like we want to
As
get
a
back to where we
child.
were before we started seeking outside stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Exactly. Being okay. And maybe some of us never felt okay, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean we weren't okay. We just
Right.
didn't
It
realize
was a
it.
feeling. Yeah.
I'm sure, like,
Yeah.
when we were little kids, because, like, you watch a little kid, they don't give a shit about anything.
That's
They
right.
don't.
Yeah.
They don't. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
I don't know when in their life that changes, you know?
Right.
But it's definitely from an outside influence.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know?
The more exposure I think they have to society, that's when it happens.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, yeah.
And it can happen right at the home too. Depends on what the home is like.
Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
We're raising a daughter, and she's 4.5, and my wife and I do our best to, bring her up in a healthy environment. And I look back at my life, and it wasn't like the worst childhood, but there was some definite flaws, and I'm sure we're not doing everything right.
Right.
either, but-
I'm in the same boat. My little girl's out there right now.
Yeah.
You know, she just turned 4 in January, and it's like she already has this. So a friend of mine posted a meme, and it was about a kid, and it's like it said, "I'm raising a sasshole."
Yeah.
She's just so sassy, and
Yeah.
it's like I want
Yeah.
to scream and yell, but I'm working on that. You know, I'm not gonna say it ain't happened because it has.
Sure.
You know what I
We're
mean? But
human. yeah.
she's 4, and like she's been through some stuff, as far as her parents and breakups and so like she's 4.5 and she's in therapy already, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I want to get this now
Yeah.
so that it doesn't snowball and she ends up like me.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
be able to talk about these feelings.
It's one of my
and-
biggest fears.
Yeah.
when I was raising my kid, I still am, but I mean he's 14.
Wow.
So
Can't believe he's 14.
all right. So when I was raising my kid, what really helped me a lot was a book called Scream Free Parenting. I got it in an audiobook. It's fantastic. It's really good.
I downloaded one too. It was only like 72 pages. I read it in like 36 minutes, and it was The Peaceful Parent is what it was called.
Oh yeah.
And what the woman was saying was, she's yelling at her kid for yelling at her.
Yeah, right.
And it was. She's like, I was never mad at my children. I was just mad,
Just mad, yeah.
and it transferred to them. There was always something within me that caused me to feel that way, and that therefore it ended up
That's right.
transferring into my parenting.
Well, when anger comes from fear, right? That's what we learned. I mean, anger comes from fear, they say, and I didn't believe that for a couple of years when I was first getting sober, or not really first getting sober, when I was first going through like a million programs and talking to all sorts of counselors and all that stuff that we do when we're trying, ripping and running and coming back in. I didn't believe it for a couple of years until it sunk in. I started, like somebody said, anger is fear. And so when you're angry at a kid, it's like, well, are you angry because you're losing your ability to control a situation? Why?
What are you afraid of?
What are you afraid of?
Yeah.
What is it that that you need to control?
Yes.
You need to control them. Now, are you getting angry at them because you're losing control of them and you're going to be embarrassed?
You're going to be a bad parent.
You're going to be embarrassed, or you're going to be a bad parent.
Yeah.
That's when I was, after I read that Scream-Free Parenting thing, and it told me about, like, letting the natural consequences of actions give consequences to, instead of you initializing false consequences by, like, oh, I don't want to do that because I'm going to make Daddy angry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
let him fall off the chair. And
well, yeah. That's the thing. I started talking to him about it. Like, well, the thing is, I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to do this right. I'm doing the best I can, but my job is the dad, and I'm supposed to teach you how not to do this and not to do that. That's all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you have a communication like that, then it's like a totally different thing. It's not like this.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They respond. Yeah.
So that helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
wild.
It's
wild.
tough, man.
Yeah. It is tough.
Yeah.
So tough. And finding balance and a kid meetings work, it's like, wow, when does it end?
Oh yeah.
Right.
No, I luckily his mother was always there, and I was just like, all right, going to meeting.
Yeah.
So it worked out with that. That was good. But
so now you end up at Turnabout for the third time.
Yeah. At that point, it was like 2010 or something.
Now you're married at this point?
I'm married. Yeah, I'm married, but it's
he's been married forever.
Yeah, I've been married.
He was born married.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. God bless her.
Right.
Yeah. She's a saint.
Yeah, she's a saint. But we at that point we were pretty much on the outs. We were still married on paper, but I was living in an apartment before I went to Turnabout, and I wasn't welcome home. I lost my job again. I was facing like felony charges for stealing a lot of money from the company I work from, and but I just was done. I don't know why. It was actually something I think she had said to me was because I had some sobriety and I was happy at times, and I just was hopeless, and she just said, why don't you just do what you were doing when you were happy? And it was just like one of those simple things. Like it wasn't like the magic answer, but it was like, oh, well, I know the first thing is to stop doing drugs and get sober, and then maybe I have a chance of being happy. So
sometimes
it was just like
you need a simple phrase.
It was like that moment of clarity or whatever, and I ended up saying, yeah, that's a good idea. Jesus, I've been brilliant.
Imagine that.
And then I went and got high, and
and I thought about it for a while.
And I finally went to detox, and I went back to Turnabout. And
oh yeah, this is the third time.
Third time's
a charm.
Third time was a charm, and I just put the flag up and I surrendered, and I got back with my sponsor Ken, and I did some step work, and
that's who brought you through the steps. I remember. I was
I
thinking it was
Ken. I still see him.
Can we get Ken on the show?
But I would imagine you could.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I see him. I'm
Such
actually
a
going
good
to
guy.
Portland with him to the Fellowship of the Spirit.
Oh yeah,
this month. Yeah, but I see Ken on a regular basis still. Yeah.
Such a good dude.
But I went through the steps the way they were laid out, and I got sober, and life took off, man. I was able to get back home, mend the relationship, and again. And we were trying to have a baby for years. She wanted to have a baby really bad. I'd given up on it because she was having fertility issues, and I just resigned to the fact that it wasn't going to happen, and we were doing all the in vitro and all that stuff, and I just let go, and I was like, it's not meant to be, and I said maybe we'll adopt or whatever. I just totally let it go. And but she didn't. She was hell bent on it, and we had one last ditch effort. She was about to let it go, and we tried this Doogie Howser doctor from
Doogie Howser.
He was like
a young kid.
Yeah, he was like 12 years old.
Yeah, right.
Like, oh, we've been.
Hey, you want to have a baby? I'll show you.
Yeah, he's like, we've been having luck with this drug. It was just a blood thinning medicine. It wasn't any drug really. It was just, it was a drug, but it wasn't anything as crazy as the hormones and stuff she was doing. They thought it may be just something as simple as like a blood clotting disorder thing, and they gave her this blood thinner. I actually was injecting her every day with blood thinners, and that's a whole nother funny story. But she got pregnant.
Imagine that.
Yeah,
I know. I remember when you told
I can
me.
only imagine how much was spent on in vitro.
It was crazy.
And then you just try this blood thinner.
Yeah, just try this. Yeah.
You want to punch Doogie Howser right in his face. Thanks, but.
Hey, no, I remember I got
awesome.
emotional over the phone when you told me that. It was
Yeah.
like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It
Yeah.
worked, and we had a baby, and and that it was right around that time that I ended up relapsing again.
Son of a...
Yeah.
Do you want to celebrate?
No, it wasn't like that at all. It was a culmination of things. Like I said, I've been sober for quite a few years, and I was getting stale in my recovery.
Yeah.
I was doing I was going back to Turnabout and doing the big book on Thursday nights, every Thursday night, and I was sponsoring a bunch of guys from there, and I remember the night. It was a summer night, and I wanted to go fishing. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm here at Turnabout. I'm working with these guys. Everyone's relapsing. Nobody gives a shit. The house is going to shit. I'm like, these guys don't get it. And I'm like, I need a little more time. I'm gonna stop doing this commitment. And that was it was like 6 months earlier before I realized. Took like 6 months after that. And it was like a steady progression. It was like I parked my car in recovery and just.
But where it started.
Yeah, that's where it started. Looking back,
Yeah.
without a doubt. And then I got really sick. I wasn't doing any recovery really. I wasn't doing anything except just not drinking and drugging. And I got prescribed cough medicine with codeine in it. And that's what it was. And I'd refused drugs so many times through the years, and.
Your disease was in the background salivating.
I was like, this is great.
I'll start off the codeine.
Yeah.
Take that.
Well, I took it and I drank it in my boiler room.
In your boiler room?
Yeah, I went and didn't tell anybody. I got filled the prescription. I was sick as a dog.
You might have a problem if you're guzzling codeine in your boiler room.
I went into my boiler room and I drank the whole thing. Why my boiler room? I don't know.
He just wants some scissor.
Yeah.
Some lean. Just trying to get down with some lean. What's that shit they talk about in all them rap songs? Is that this? Yeah.
Yeah, I put on some Snoop Dogg and I drank.
Right?
Bar.
But it was, it's pretty textbook. It was like, I didn't go off the rails that moment. It was about a month of misery, sober but dry, like wanting to get high but knowing that it's going to be terrible.
Yeah, but
already knowing that you fucked up.
I don't think you're really on the rails if you drink guzzling codeine.
Yeah.
I had it together.
No one knew you had the script, right? Rubber stamping all your own bullshit.
Yeah. And then there's no time. In a month, I was miserable. It was like the most miserable month of my life. I was just like a royal dick to everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
but you were pissed at yourself is what it was.
Yeah. Well, I knew what was coming. I knew, And my wife's like, "What is wrong with you? Like you're just such a jerk." And I was just, and my mother came to visit, and
now was this after she was pregnant or after the baby came?
No, she was pregnant.
Right.
She was pregnant.
So this should be a good time.
It should be a good time.
Yeah.
And at the same time now I have all these fears kicking in because
I was just gonna ask.
Yeah, because I'm not doing anything to treat my spiritual condition, so I'm rampant with fears. Like, oh my God, I'm gonna have a baby.
Yeah. Right.
Oh my God, I'm gonna be like my father. You know what I mean? My father was an absent dad. He was a drug addict, alcoholic. He left. My mother and father split up when I was young.
How young?
I was 7.
Yeah.
See, so they say that your personality is formed by the time you're 7.
Yeah.
That's what happened. So this is what formed your personality.
I was 7 as well when my dad left.
Yeah.
I mean, he showed up. He was there on weekends, and if the smack needed to be laid down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what was funny? It's funny about me is my dad came back when I was 7.
Sure.
And that was the trauma because he took us away from, like, me and my mom lived with my grandparents, and I had this nice little, all these friends, this nice little neighborhood I lived in, and then I went down to Carver next to Alba.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I went down there, and he used to beat my ass and everything like this. It was good times.
Everybody's ass.
His father beat his ass. He beat my ass. Good times.
He's like Biff Henderson.
Exactly. My neighbor. This is my friend.
Shit. So totally loaded with fear, and seeing no way out but to get high, and I started getting prescriptions, and then it was just no time before I just was back doing dope again. And that, from that point on, I would get sober for 6 months, 7 months, and relapse, and I did that for up until last November. I would get, I got sent to Bridgewater. That was fun.
Oh, you went there?
I spent Christmas in Bridgewater.
Yeah, no water like Bridgewater.
That was nice.
The boot camp. This is still a boot camp? Is it still at like Delta, Alpha, all those places?
Yes.
Then I don't know if it changed.
When I went, it was inside. They didn't have that.
The SCCC, I did that too.
It was inside the
this
jail.
was the buildings, Delta, and Charlie and Bravo.
Still can't leave.
Yeah, right?
It was a pretty bad experience. Yeah.
Sucks.
But, and then I just did that. I kicked it around for a while now, and then getting sober for a while, and then relapsing and do.
Yeah, you get relief from your alcoholism, and then you need to get relief from your sobriety.
Yep, exactly.
Go back out,
And never being able to accept it either. Like I felt like I couldn't go back to AA.
Sorry, guys.
Tom?
Cramp?
Yeah.
Oh,
Bad.
I hate those. Woohoo!
Yeah. You all right?
Fuck. Sorry, guys.
Crawling around on all that decking today, huh?
Yeah. So I just found myself in that cycle,
Yeah.
I kept trying to have the same experience I had the first time too, I think, and I had a real hard time coming back to AA because I felt like a fraud.
Yeah.
I was pretty active before, when in the years that I was sober, and I was sponsoring a lot of people, and some of those people became really good friends, and they stayed sober, and I watched them stay sober, and they watched me struggle, and my ego just really had a bitch of a time with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
My ego kept me spinning around for a while, And the other thing that was a blessing and a curse was I still had some things monetarily. I had a successful business now, and even though it was suffering, I was able to pull from it and feed the beast, and then feed the lie too that well, look, things aren't that bad,
Yeah, I still got my own business.
Right.
Right.
I'm doing good.
Meanwhile, no, that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
But I would get sober. I'd go to detox, but I wouldn't go to any further treatment. I wouldn't do anything above and beyond. I'd go to nice places like the Plymouth House or something, and think that that was gonna do it. And it doesn't really matter where you go unless you're ready to go.
Right.
And that's what I found out. And I finally went back. I went to Gosnold.
Still got brownies at night, like a 9 o'clock snack.
I don't know. I slept through most of it. This time, fentanyl had arrived, so I was really doing
Oh yeah. Oh boy. Wow.
It wasn't. I slept through the whole thing. But I went to treatment after. I went to one of the Brady's houses. It wasn't treatment, but I went to a sober house, which for me was a step out of my comfort zone, and that was something that I wasn't willing to do over those years. I wasn't willing to surrender. And every time my wife would say, "Go back into sober living or whatever, we'll be all right for now," or whatever it is, but you're not going to get it if you just go to detox and come home. And for me, that's been the case. And I went, I finally surrendered. I went to Brady's house, and I got involved. I had gotten a sponsor from the Plymouth House. He had moved down here, and and that's what I did in it. And I had a new experience with this sponsor, and we found this therapist. My wife was going to this therapist that does EMDR. You know what that is?
Yep. I've done it.
Yeah, have you? It's pretty wild, isn't it? It freed me up, I'll tell you.
Yes, and it's crazy because eye movement reprogramming and desensitization.
Something like that.
So
I hold these electrodes.
Yes, I did my first fifth step, and I meet this counselor. He had never really worked with anyone in recovery, and he says, I gave him a copy of our literature, and he was like, "Wow, that's pretty amazing." And this whole fourth and fifth step thing. He's like, so if you think of something on there, do you still have a feeling attached to it? And I'm like, well, yeah. He goes, well, then you haven't processed it. So we started going through that stuff, and it was, it took time, and you got these things that vibrate randomly, and like you got to look left and right. It's like going on your computer, hitting the Windows button, thing pops up, and it's like restart for your brain.
Really, and it really works.
The way she explained it to me, because I call it hocus pocus.
Yeah,
that's the best I could come up with. But she said it's taken things like, say you had a traumatic event in your life.
It's very good for trauma.
They rearrange where it resides in your brain, so it's no longer in the center that's attached to emotion. It's now into the center of just a memory. Like it becomes.
And they
just
do
an
this by
experience.
just vibrating hand things and moving your eyes.
Hocus pocus.
Yes.
Wow.
It's like defragging your computer, or you know what I mean. It's like, all right, this doesn't work in this folder. We got to move it over here.
Yeah.
See, I think our brains are more like our radio. Our consciousness is tuned in by them, and when our brains are messed up, we can't quite get the signal right.
Whatever it was like a 1-2 punch, because I was doing a 4th step at the same time, and I would go into her, and my sponsor wasn't too happy about this, because he was real like. He wanted me to have the experience of the 4th step and the turnarounds and sit with that,
Yeah.
Meanwhile, she's taking away all the sting from it. You know what I mean? But I'll tell you what, it worked. And it was like so awesome, and it freed me up. Like, I had some things in my life that weren't terrible, but they were terrible to me.
Yeah.
And things that I couldn't get over, and we went through my whole life, her and I, in a matter of like 6 months.
Yeah.
Therapist.
In the therapy.
Wow.
And at the same time doing a thorough 4th step.
Yeah. I want to. We'll definitely chat after if I don't.
Yeah.
Some information.
So it was huge for me, and my wife introduced me to that, and this lady was just really cool. Like, I've been brought into like couples therapy before, and felt like, oh my god, this is terrible. I'm like under attack,
Yeah.
And that's how I met her. Like, my
found
wife
that
was like,
too,
"Come
yeah.
see this lady Joyce," and I'm like, here we go again. Like, I'm gonna go into couples therapy, and I'm gonna get abused, and
Well, when you use it, you're guilty. You're the problem.
That was the thing, and when I met her, I wasn't doing, I wasn't doing the right thing. It was the tail end of, my run there, and there was none of that. Like, I just felt totally comfortable with this lady, and then I started seeing her. She's like, I won't see you guys together, but I'll see you separately. And I started seeing her alone, and I did that, and I until I finished out, and we ended up with, there's nothing really left for me to work on. Like, it was nothing that I was struggling with at the time, and we left it that, I'd see her maybe once a year or something.
Yeah, so crazy that, something completely out of the realm of recovery.
Yep.
But, like, it's... I said it last week, and I was sharing it at a meeting. Like, we pick up for some reason. It says in the book, underlying causes and conditions.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we just keep going.
Right.
And if we don't, like, yes, 12-step fellowship will help you put down the drink and the drug and keep it down.
And
but there's
possibly get you in touch with a higher power.
Right.
But there's other things. Like, you got money problems, go see a finance guy.
Yeah.
You got marriage problems, you go see a marriage counselor. You got
Trauma problems.
Yeah, you got physical problems, you go see a doctor.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you got to find someone. You got to find out why you did what you did, and why we keep trying to bury that.
Yeah. Right.
Like, it doesn't. It's not the end-all, be-all, 12-step program. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's other things that we need to address in our life, and I think a lot of people get hung up on that. Like, no, the 12 steps should fix everything.
Right.
Yeah, they might for some people.
Right.
They may for some people, but,
There's a double-edged sword there, too, because what happens when on your 4th step you dig up that one thing or whatever, and it comes up, and you go through the process, and you still have the resentment, or you still have the emotions that are attached to that.
Right.
Then what? Because then you're like, oh shit, I don't, either you're honest about it and you say this fucking doesn't work, or you lie and you say, oh yeah, God removed all my defects, like, or you're like me, or you're somewhere in the middle and you're like, oh shit, yeah, it worked, I got some relief, but I'm still kind of fucked up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what that EMDR did for me. It was able to really free up my mind.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
It is. It's pretty crazy, man. There's a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah.
That people don't even realize.
I highly
that can
recommend that if anybody.
Right. Traumas, any stuff that you just don't want to talk about. You really, it's. Yeah. I did it, and it definitely helped me, because it was between doing step work, doing that, living a Cursillo. It's like I think
Cursillo was big for me.
That's the only thing that's like helped me to not, because I was like almost 8 years sober and I was ready to freaking commit suicide.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy, like all these things, and him saying, like, if you still have a feeling attached to that, then you haven't processed it. And that's the thing. We need to process these feelings and these emotions and all this stuff that we go through that make us do what we do.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
Right. The dissatisfaction in life that we run from.
Right.
I mean, even now, if I'm not happy with whatever and I got to do something, I'll go and do it. But then I might have I'm going to buy myself a chocolate bar. You know what I mean?
I need me a reward for that.
That's right. I just did that and I didn't want to do it, and now it's done, and now I'm going to get some chocolate. Or something, you know what I mean? It's like hiding from the dissatisfaction. I realized that the other day in that exact situation.
Yeah.
I was like going down to work at night on a project that I got going, and it was like the umpteenth million time.
Yeah.
I'm going to work after work.
Yep.
And I'm like, so I'm like, screw it. I'm going to get a big bag of, Hershey's mini cups, and I'm going to go to town.
Yep. I did the same thing the other day with a bag of M&Ms. Fucking have a fucking kind of crappy day. Them M&Ms is looking good.
Pizza's my go-to.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, as long as you keep it harmless like that, I don't think you're too.
Right.
As long as you don't put heroin on the pizza.
I'm not like
or go back to the pharmacy counter and say, "Hey, you got any M&Ms back there?"
Yeah. The ones
They're white and they say OC 80 on them or 30. Can I get some of those, please?
Those M&Ms.
It was crazy. I was reading something the other day, like someone actually people are still robbing pharmacies.
Oh yeah, we gotta get.
Must be from Charlestown.
We gotta get Bartolucci.
Oh
Who robbed a pharmacy in the dress, kid?
Bank. It was a bank, wasn't it?
No, it's a pharmacy.
It was?
What's the thought process behind that? Well, if you use a mask, then you're really going away for some time. But if I just put on some makeup.
Nowadays, he would have got off, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're discriminating against me.
Dropping the bucket now. Robbing banks and what?
High on whacked on Scooby snacks.
Yeah.
All right, so we went.
Yes.
We went, see?
Yeah.
Easy,
thanks for coming on, man.
It wasn't bad. Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
and great.
We talked about some stuff that hasn't really been talked about, which is good. It
was very good.
Like, like seeking outside help and 12-step programs are going to work for things, and they're going to help people, but we have to grow more than that. You know what I mean?
Yep. There's nothing wrong with continually looking for the next right action.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So LOLTerms.com.
Yes, please.
Apple
Please
Podcast,
subscribe.
Google Play, YouTube. We're everywhere.
Yeah.
Tell
us in the comments what you think of Periscope. Anybody know about Periscope? And
yeah,
we're thinking about going on Periscope.
Yes.
Sorry about that cramp. That was intense.
I was like, totally ridiculous. What the hell is going on?
I mean, that hurt a lot.
But I know I've been there, dude. Yeah. Be like, oh motherfucker, damn, that hurts.
I was thinking, like, what am I going to do?
Activity,
go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Usually doesn't happen when I'm sitting in a chair. But
yeah, right.
Okay.
Well,
we'll give you a pass.
My activity happened earlier today. All right. LOLTerms.com.
Yeah. All right, guys. Peace.
Thanks.
Gotta wait till we hit that end button.
You got it. People can see it.